The question was regarding solid state drives. Solid state drives are like flash, memory cards, those kinds of things. They're non-spinning hard drives and they're wicked fast. That's what the MacBook Airs come and the newest Retinas do. But the question was, can you put them in regular iMacs and things like that? Yeah, they can go in. You need some adapters to do it. Otherworld Computing or MacSales.com has all the conversion kits you need. If it's a 21.5 or a 27-inch iMac, it's a little problematic because it needs some specific cabling. But what people are doing also, and I'm tempted to do on this one, is put the solid state drive where my optical drive was and leave my regular spinning large hard drive as my non-operating drive, just as storage in there. So you can replace the optical with it so you could have a regular hard drive and a solid state. But we're getting in the weeds and that's all geek talk. And
So can you contact me? I have a 27 inch, so.
yeah, the 27 you'd have to do it. Because the problem is it has specific heat sensors. Shoot me an email and I'll show you. All right. So the other thing we use a lot is mail. And I'm going to go set mail up to how it comes when you guys get it. So here's what mail looks like now. It doesn't look like the old mail, and that throws people off. I kind of had issues with it too. I kind of liked the older way. It worked in my really bad workflow. Oh, this one, I only have one of my accounts on here is why I only have 30,000 messages instead of the 62 I have on my other. And I thought I was a hoarder until I started watching those shows. But my philosophy is I never delete mail. Because when I do, I'll need what was on there. I know it. And it happened. The one time, one of my accounts, it said, remove from server after 30 days. I went back like 6 months later to go find a specific email. And it had been somehow when I set up one of the mails on one of my machines, it did that. So I just keep a lot of mail because I use my search function. It's like, would you rather go to a library that has a lot of books or a library that has 10 books? Which one are you likely to find more information in?
A lot of.
And how do you have to use the card search to search for those books. Okay? I can search for anything I want in my mail. Okay, so this is how mail comes right out of the box. Actually, the scroll bars wouldn't be there, of course, because we've already activated the scroll bars. So this is kind of how it comes. And I said I really want it to look like the old mail. So first, I can go to this little pane called Show. And that at least exposes my mailboxes, which in this case, I only have one. On my other account, I have about 4 different email addresses. But that still doesn't look the same, but it looks very much like it does for mail on your iPad and your iPhone. So what I do is I go up to Mail Preferences, and I go from General across to what do we want to do? We want to view our mail differently. So I hit Viewing, and not old layout, we want to use classic layout. And now look at my mail. Looks exactly like it used to. And you can still show and hide your mailboxes on the side. A lot of us want to make sure the mailboxes are there, because if we can't see them, they might not be there. So I'm the same way. I like them exposed. So the other tip you have, and a lot of people don't know this, that we're using mail in the old style. See right here, you can barely see there's a little dot right in the middle. That's Apple's way of hiding things. More than likely, your mail looked like this with that all the way out of the way. And if you wanted to read an email, you would have had to double-click on the email, and it opens in a new thing, all those steps like that. Well, I go down here to this little thing, and I slide this up. Now I can scroll these, or I can scroll my mail down here. She was checking last night if she was only going to come to the class, which makes sense if she could go to Mountain Lion. But this little bar, you can just grab it right there and put it wherever you want. And now I don't have to double-click to look at my message. Okay? So that's mail the way it is. I'll give one other, I do this in the mail class, one other tip. Everyone should go into composing. And you should set something here, first of all, which mail you want it to normally go from. But go here where it says increase quote level, and you should deselect that. should do it on your iPhone or your iPad. When you people send you mail back and forth, every time somebody replies, it works its way across the screen until finally you've got this much of these lines or these quotation marks on a PC, and then the message is over here. So that's called increased quote level. We deselect it. It ships with it on, so deselect it. All right, there'll be a mail class coming up. One thing I want to add here is there is a new thing in mail called VIP. Well, I'm safe because I haven't made anybody a VIP yet, so none of you should feel slighted. But if I want Barbara to become a VIP, hang on here. I go to the address that's in the mail, and I secondary click, right click, or control click, two-finger click, secondary click, and I say add to VIPs. The person's not going to get a message and say, Ken's added you as a VIP. Kind of like that Facebook, oh, this and that. No. The nice thing is, there's mail. I get 120 emails a day. And that's not counting the ones that get filtered out by spam. I mean emails to me, 120 a day. And a lot of those are But if my mom sends me an email, I damn well better know it came in because I better respond. And now that she's using her iPad all the time, which is actually better than phone calls for me. But we go to dinner about twice a week. It's okay, but I'm glad an 87-year-old lady's using email. It's wonderful. She can contact the grandkids. But I can add to the VIP, and then I have a VIP list, and I don't have to look at all my inbox. I can just get mail. I can check the mails from the VIPs, okay? Nobody knows if they're on your VIP list or not, okay? You could add somebody to the VIP list other ways, but when you get a message like that, you can add it to the VIP, and then see in your VIP, you can expand it, and you have different people, and you would select different individuals. So,
Does it still remain in your normal inbox?
good question. Yes, it does. I hadn't explored that, so that was a wonderful question. Go ahead,
Does
Keith.
the VIP work by name regardless of
What the email address is?
email address you're using or they're using to send you?
If they're in your address book
Okay.
and they have multiple email addresses,
No, not them, you.
Oh, no,
You're
okay.
I have multiple emails.
VIP, I believe, because I don't have multiple ones in this, I believe the VIP is a box that's independent of what email address it came to.
Good, thank you.
I think it's more a key to somebody that's in your book. If you use Gmail, they have a thing called important, and they did the same thing. So it kind of follows in that regard. They haven't created rocket science here.
Would you restate the secondary click again?
Okay, secondary click is either right click. If you have a trackpad, it's two-finger click, but the good old standby is hold down the control key and click, and that gives you secondary click. And then see, now I have the option to remove from VIP. So I'm not removing her, I'm just taking it away from the VIP, and now my VIP went away. Okay?
What's the advantage of VIP instead of just having a special mailbox for that person?
Because a special mailbox, unless you make a smart mailbox, it would always go there, but it stays in your inbox. It's really just kind of like making a flag and saying, oh, I got to make sure I check that. It doesn't take it out of your inbox like special mailboxes do. Special mailboxes, you usually drag it over and it takes it out of the inbox. There's ways to get around it, but it really is just another way for you to filter through the mess. Go ahead.
Will VIP take visit people's VIP from your other mailboxes? If you have multiple mailboxes coming through mail.
I believe it's just a person specific. I apologize, I don't have 2 email set up on this, but I believe it just takes, it's person specific, not mailbox specific. And that's another nice thing about it. But your folders and album, or your folders and mailboxes work that way too. You can drag things in from any of your accounts to there. But this is really the person. You can set up rules in mail to say, make a smart mailbox to say, if they're in my address book, send it to this smart mailbox or something like that. But that's for the mail class. All right, now, some other stuff I was doing that I was poking around in system preferences. We're going to go around system preferences a lot here. Desktop and screensavers, there's some new ones. They haven't, basically there's some new pictures and stuff. Nothing's really changed there. The dock hasn't really changed. I like my dock on the left, and I point this out to people because if my dock were on the bottom, I'd keep running into it when I go to scroll pages and everything else. I hate it. And our screens are wider than they're tall. Just like me. I'm wider than I'm tall. So I can put my dock on the side. So I guess here's my dock. It's so much better. Jim, who are you looking for?
Keith MacNexus.
Keith's right here.
They got a full house today, huh?
Yeah. Pete couldn't make his class today. So the dock on the left, you're not going to run into it. It has all the same things. But the big thing is that my screen has extra real estate in the width. Okay? Had a question there?
Back to mail, can notes going to mail on telephony?
No, it's a separate in Mountain Lion?
Yeah.
It's a separate program now. There's notes and reminders and stuff. So that's the other thing is if you had notes on your calendar, reminders or whatever it was, it migrated into the new program. So that's notifications. Different than notes. You're talking about notifications like this? Yeah, that's notifications. He was talking about notes, the yellow notes. And we'll go through notifications in a second. Yes?
I found that a lot of things that I have in my calendar that I hadn't really intended to be reminders have now turned into reminders and telling me a lot of things that I had not put an alarm or anything else on.
Trying to tell you something.
How do I turn some of those off without just
You can't. Shh, it knows better.
they're recurring ones, so I don't really bother.
Yeah, on the recurring ones,
Yes.
you would go in and double click on the event and hit edit,
Yes.
and then just go in and say turn alert off, and it'll say for this event, only for this one, or for all future ones. Okay? All right. Go ahead. Hold the control key. Let's bring up this point here, and I want to show you this while I show you the keyboard viewer. Okay, so we're going to hit Command H. Oh, great. Just trying to get some things out of the way so you can almost see the keyboard. All right. The keyboard, if you're typing and you're going to start a sentence with capital S, do you tap the shift and the S at the same time? What do? You hold down the shift and then hit the S, right? All these keys, that's called a modifier key. That would be shift. These are also modifiers. Your control, option, and command are considered modifier keys. So what that means is, what I want to do is, if I'm in an application, let's say, and I want to quit the application, your little cheat for this is what? What's it say? Command Q. So if I hold Command key for as long as I want, and then keep my finger on it and just tap and release the Q, it does it. So, Control, click, brings up a contextual menu depending on what you're in. If you're in a word processor, what that's cut, copy, and paste. Control, click. You can accomplish the same thing with 2-finger click on a trackpad, or right click if it's enabled on a mouse or a trackpad. So that's that's why they call it secondary click. It comes from the old right click. Hold control and click the tap, your mouse clicker or your trackpad clicker. Yeah. And it's different from tap. We've been talking about tap. Click is what we want. Okay, back to system preferences. Spotlight's great. Notifications. Now let's talk about notifications. So notifications are all these little things that can come in, like email and messages, etc. And what they've done, it's on your iPhone and your iPad. Some of you probably didn't even know it was there, but you did it by accident. If you take your finger and swipe down, a little screen comes up. Those are notifications. Go far above it and swipe down, okay? Don't try to hit right at the top. Notifications are, for me, on my iPhone, I tell it to do different things. I have it as my recent phones. My recent emails are on there. Reminders, calendar, etc. are all right there. Now on your computer, you have notifications over here. And if I click right up here in the upper right, that's my notification screen. Joan, please continue the mountain lion presentation instead of answering questions that don't. Cheers, Joan. Okay. 38 minutes ago. Oh, well, we passed through that. But anyway, that's our stuff there. And so I click it again and it goes back out of the way. But you'll notice how it goes in and out. When I get a mail or a text message on my computer, we'll talk about that in a second. The text messages or a calendar event, let's say, will come up in a little window up, and it'll be kind of ubiquitous. Let's do a quick little calendar reminder here. Let's see, today it's 11:05 right now. I'll make an appointment. Test at 11:10 a.m. Okay, so at 11:10 a.m. Oh, I got to set an alert for it too. So here's where I go into my alerts. I don't know if it'll come up like that on notifications or not. But anyway, let's quit calendar. All right. So if I'd have made that on my iPhone and it showed up here, in fact, you know what I should do is let's send myself an email from my iPhone. Send Ken Spencer an email. Subject, test.
Which one? Ken Spencer or Ken Misk email Spen? You have 16 email addresses for contacts named Ken Spencer. Which one should I use? Ken958. Okay, what would you like the email to say?
Wow, I should call through my mailboxes, period.
Here's your email to Ken Spencer.
All right.
Okay, I'll send it.
Actually, the problem is I have the account's been repeated a few times on there, so we'll see if it comes up on my thing here. I don't have mail on. Did something come up here yet?
No.
See, a little inset box will come up, so we may give it a second here. So the idea is you don't have to look away from what you're doing, but if that little box reminder comes up, you just click on it and it'll take you. Or you can just look at it and say, you can even say snooze when it's a thing comes up and you say, don't bug me now, hit snooze, and it'll come back up for you. But that's notifications, and in fact, Yeah, it hasn't come in yet, so we'll see if, keep posted up there if you guys see, it's just a little box that'll come up here in the upper right. So, displays, keyboard. Now here's what I want to get into, language and text. Here's the price of worth the price of admission. So I go to language and text and hit text. I've made a little, so first off, most of these fractions are not usually there. They were usually disabled like this. But this way, if I type 1/4, it will do it with the subscript or the superscript that you normally want for it, if you tell it to, okay? But that means if you also type one, like 1 per month, 1 for every 4 or something, it's always going to give you that. But anyway, I know how it is on mine when I get stuff and I say, well, this is the normal reply for that. Let's say, how do you repair disk permissions? And I can make a long soliloquy on how that happens. I'm going to go create a new text shortcut. So I'm going to hit the plus sign, and I'm going to call it XC. Don't know why. Actually, I'll go TST for test, TST. And I'm going to say, ooh, this will be a challenge. It will even let me put dictation in here, period.
No.
Too many mailboxes, obviously. Testing how to enter text. Okay. We experimented with Keith McMahon, who left to go downstairs. He has a long thing he does in a form letter. He's been saving his draft. You can use a program called Text Expander. It's wonderful. Cost, but it's wonderful. But now, when I go to Notes, and I type in KS space, put in Ken Spencer. Watch what happens when I type TST space. You can make all the shortcuts you want. Be careful. You don't want it to be the letters T and O because you're going to type 2 a lot, and all of a sudden it's going to come up with a whole sentence. Where is that again? In language and text.
So that'll go into anything you're writing.
Correct.
Email, pages.
Anywhere you type the letters, it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 letters. You could have a number letter. Just be careful of what you make the default to do. So this says when I type KNS or when I type TST, print this. And we had almost a full letter. We copied and pasted it into there. So I could in fact, here we go. Let's do this. Let's copy and paste this whole thing. I'm going to copy it to my keyboard, or to my clipboard, excuse me. And I'm going to replace TST with that, okay? So now, when I go down here, I'm going to type TST space. Save you a few keystrokes.
Will it let you enter a password or a address?
It'll let you enter it. Whether that'll be accepted in the password thing, probably not, and it really depends on how the web page is kind of designed, but I wouldn't recommend that. And you can sometimes copy and paste a password, but some security protocols won't allow you to paste it in the spot for the password. So.
Can you change the font, size, type?
No, it's whatever you're currently using there. Actually, let's try that. Let's go here and let's make this bold. And let's copy it. That's a good question. I think it doesn't. So we'll put it right below it. No, that one was already there. Oh, but that's where we were already in bold. So Command Z. I'm going to turn bold off. Command B. Make sure it's off. Yeah, it's off. So TST. Yeah, it doesn't. That's the one thing we found on Keith's thing is he had some blue lettering and stuff. It won't do that. Text Expander will do that. Okay? Hey, it's not everything. It's free. It came with it, okay? It's free that it came with it. I didn't say it was free. The cup that comes with, or the cone that comes with your ice cream, I guess, is. All right. Yes? You can always go into there and see. That's where you want to do something that makes sense. You make your little thing, you know, boilerplate BP3, you know, your third version of the boilerplate or something. That's up to you. Some people have bigger memories than others and can remember it. Some people have to go back and see what it is. Okay. Yes, sorry. Hang on one sec. A little louder, please.
Under language, it looked like we had a choice of Chinese possibly.
You can turn your whole computer into. They're loaded in here. Your iPhone, your iPad. You could change it to Japanese and it'll be all Japanese. You can change it to Spanish. You can do whatever you want. Change it right back.
So what if I don't, I have a friend who's Chinese, and what if I don't know Chinese? Can I type it in English and it will convert it?
No, it is Chinese. Everything's in Chinese, the menus. Don't do it unless you know how to get back because, what's that screen? Hello, Chinese consulate? And I've seen that, like some people that have a Spanish keyboard. I mean, luckily I know positioning on some things so you can kind of get to it. There are translation apps, Google Translate we showed earlier, that you can, 85 languages, you can have it translate for you, but no, it converts your whole computer to that language. Sometimes you can tell it to flip back and forth, but every iPhone and iPad and computer all come with those languages already built in them. That's what's amazing.
Did we get that 11:10 alert?
No? Oh, you know what? I wonder if my notifications went off. I didn't turn it off earlier. Okay, so there it is. And see, so let's put this back. So there's my little notification, see? I can't move it around. It only goes up in there. And I have the choice of close or snooze. Thank you for bringing that up. I don't know when notifications got turned off. It's on by default. I didn't turn it on originally. Somehow it got turned off. So snooze means it'll come back and tell you later. I don't know how much later yet. I never hit snooze. I just say, oh, close. And you see it kind of poof away. All right. There's very few other things here. Now, those of you using Pages or Keynote, did you notice in Lion some save thing was missing? Were you ticked off about it?
Yes.
Want to learn how to get it back?
Yes.
Don't listen. If he ever asks you how to do it, don't tell him. We now have, no more save as, duplicate. We have option, hold down the option key, and what do we, Mr. Part of the reason that we're getting rid of that stuff is, on your iPad, do you know where your files are? Or your iPhone? And when you fire up Pages on your iPad, all your Pages documents are there. You don't have to go searching for it because it knows if I'm in Pages, I want my Pages documents. We're getting to that point where the Finder won't be necessary. I didn't say it should go away. I don't believe that it should go away. It almost went away when we went from 9.2 to 10. There was some debate to get rid of Finder. And they said, nope, we're already making him suffer enough by going to 10 from the old classics, so they didn't do that. But you can see the iPad works pretty well, and it doesn't really have a Finder folder structure. Yes? Hold the option key. That I don't think happened in Lion. It's new for Mountain Lion. Okay, so duplicate becomes save as. Okay. Now the reason you're not going to need that if you're storing your document on the cloud, are you? So they really just kind of buckled down to the pressure and said, everybody on the message boards is whining, so let's put it back in. All right, so that's how you get save as. I did neglect to say something in right here in Mail. Anybody remember the old Mail? It had these brightly colored icons across the top, and they were really neat, and the eye picks up shapes and colors very well. So Apple decided to make them all gray. And remove the text from the bottom. Because it costs extra if you want words below the icons. So we go back and we take because this is how it ships. We take our finger and hold the control key down and click on the menu bar and say icon in text. Because we don't know what those icons mean. And why the heck didn't they include it? I mean, come on. I'm an Apple fanboy, but you know, at some point the minimalism becomes unusable. So the same thing happens when you hit reply or one of these. It doesn't come with it. It usually comes icon only. So you click icon in text. Okay? Wow, and that rendered really bad. No. No, the back button is there. In Safari? Safari. Safari is the internet. Safari has a back button right there. Some people get their toolbar gone, but that's a mistake. It's always going to show. You can't use the delete button to go back.
When live putting up some things on the web became problematic and it wouldn't talk anymore to programs wouldn't talk to it, is that happening?
On the web, you mean like Flash programs and stuff?
Yeah, when you had to go to a website where it said that odds are you won't convert to talk to this program anymore.
That shouldn't have been a problem with Lion, and Safari is a very compatible browser, but if you run into, her question was, if you run into a website that doesn't work too well, Safari is now the fastest browser out there. The new Safari is wicked fast, but I recommend also having Google Chrome as an option, and Google Chrome's a very good browser, free from Google, chrome.google.com, and it deals with Flash, the Flash player, a little bit better than the rest of them because it sandboxes it and you can't have problems. But I think that...
I think it was more with programs like Microsoft programs and things that weren't integrating well with.
Well, they don't really integrate with the browser.
With Lion.
Well, no, yeah, with Lion and Mountain Lion, you just have to have the newer version of Office. 2008 or 2011 or the new 2013 that's coming out probably in 2018. No, actually, they've got a trial of it out and it's supposed to be pretty good. I haven't tried it yet, so. I'm sorry? Oh, in Mail, there's another way to, so I control click on the menu bar. Control click. But you can always go up here, you guys. This is another tip that's really good. Go up to View, come down to Customize Toolbar. And the nice thing is here, down here it says icon and text, text only, etc. if you forget. But the other nice thing is, let's say you want to have a little printer icon up in Safari up there. You can just drag a printer right up to it. Okay? If you want the default toolbar, you drag the whole toolbar, and then it's the default toolbar. Okay? So under View, Customize Toolbar. Okay? I don't like the print up there, so I'm going to just drag it down. Poof. Okay, so those are important to have. Now don't do it on just this one. Immediately go to Reply, Forward, and New Message, and make sure you hit icon and text for those two. I just think that was a mistake by Apple, to be honest. All right. Now going forward, this was in Lion, also in 10.6.8. You can still get programs over the internet from developers. You can still get a CD with a program on it. Make sure it works in Lion or Mountain Lion if you do. But everything's going to the App Store. It's a double-edged sword. Things that are approved to be in the App Store, we know will work. The price is tremendously less than it is the other way because they know they can do it in masses. I buy it for one computer. It works for all of my computers on the same account. And I don't have to go digging for that serial number when I get a new computer because the App Store remembers what you bought and lets you re-download it. That being said, in Mountain Lion, they have narrowed what developers can have programs do. And without getting in a geeky tirade on that, what it is the programs can work fine, but developers can go outside of the App Store and the great thing is you can still buy programs that way. In fact, we've been talking about Dropbox, and you'll notice Dropbox is not in the App Store. Because Apple thinks it's a great program, they like it, they kind of endorse it, but it doesn't meet the criteria of the App Store in that it does something unusual and does something out of the norm. So Apple has, they call it a walled garden, and it's for our protection. There's a reason you don't find viruses and malware and stuff for a Mac, and what Apple wants to do is be proactive into keeping that from happening in the future. Because every day somebody's trying to come up with new stuff, okay? And Apple likes to stay ahead of the curve to prevent that from happening. So if I take an application that's not in the App Store, again, there's huge advantages to getting it from the App Store, but there is other ways. The old way was you might go to a website and pay to download a program. Maybe paid to download Microsoft Office. You don't get it in there. So what you have to do is, on Mountain Lion, if you go to install an application, I should say, apps are in the App Store, an application from somewhere else, first it's going to say, hey, this was downloaded from the internet, is that okay? You say, yeah, it's fine. But then secondly, it will say, this is not from the App Store. And it might say you can't install it. So I got to show you where to go to fix that. It's a security thing. And again, it's a secondary step to prevent people that don't know any better, that haven't updated their computers, from getting nefarious things inside their computer. Okay? So you go up here to security and privacy. Security and privacy. Let me just get rid of all this. Security and privacy, right up here. And what I want to do there is, under General, now you'll notice I have a padlock here. Everything's grayed out that I could change. So, to undo the padlock, I click on the padlock and it prompts me for my computer password. Don't look. I don't use a password on my computer. It's okay, I live alone, and I can still shut it down if I need to. But anyway, so now that I unlock the lock, I have options here. So the three options that we're worried about or concerned about are these right here. The rest of this is regular security, like if your computer screen goes to sleep, do you want to prompt it for a password when you get back to it? But if we're saying allow applications, this means you're giving it the authorization. The most restrictive would be from the Mac App Store, right, only, or from the Mac App Store and identified developers. In other words, these are, Dropbox would qualify in this. If this is the default setting, I believe, and Have you changed your scale on there? Go to System Prefs and see if you don't mind if it's the center one. Or if somebody else did line that hasn't changed. Oh. Just go to System Preferences.
No, I meant what the question was.
Oh.
What did you say that I changed about Dropbox?
Have you changed your permissions for how to install apps in the security yet?
No, I was just doing it right now.
Okay, did you remember, was yours selected which way?
Yeah, okay.
Security and privacy.
Yeah, let me look at that.
Because I do a lot of these things so quick, I can't remember if I changed it or not. Sorry for the...
It was defaulted, so I didn't.
Yeah,
change
okay.
that.
The middle one is the default, as I suspected. Thank you very much. Sorry to put you on the spot.
I was in File Vault.
Don't use File Vault, whatever you do.
I won't, I just was looking at it.
Stay away from File Vault. It doesn't come on by default. If you're working for the government and you need to secure it, yeah, you can. But File Vault slows your computer down a bit, but boy, if you ever lose your password, tough. You're not going to get any of your data off your computer. Anyway, so the middle one is what it's selected. I had to download. In fact, didn't we have to change it for you on one of the apps that we downloaded, as I'm not mistaken? It was a good program. He'd used it previously in Snow Leopard, but we had to download a new copy of it from a developer that must not have been an identified developer, and I had to change keys to anywhere. So then you can change it back if you want after that. The middle one would be the best, because you, for instance, you get a Microsoft Office CD and you put it in, it wouldn't install if you were Mac App Store only. So the middle one, that's the default, but I want to point it out because you may encounter a program where it says it can't install, and you may have to click anywhere for that one installation. Yes?
What's the definition for Apple of an identified developer? Are they looking at the way their standards are and their requirements when they build apps?
Good question. Her question was, what does Apple consider an identified developer? You know, they say identified, so not certified or whatever. In other words, what's happened is they've submitted what they're trying to do outside of the App Store. Dropbox is a good example. It can't be in the App Store because it violates what the terms of how it works. It works across different devices and across different applications. So they say, we have to have a criteria for the App Store. We won't let you in that. But we've said it's okay, and they actually have a certificate that this will check. So that certificate says, oh, yeah, they're one of our identified developers. That's no problem because we know we're not going to get any bad juju from them. So that's a process where that application developer has worked with Apple and they've identified them as okay. They get a check mark okay. And that's where it would normally be. But you may run into a program that might not be, and if you know what the program is, go ahead and hit anywhere, anyway, and then move it back, which we may need to move yours back,
Do
Keith.
Microsoft and Intuit fit into the identified developer? Because Apple's always had problems with that.
It's not a matter of problems with them. It's a matter of, I think they would be fine because they have done the certificate. Let's not get too lost in this. What it is, it's just saying they've submitted it to Apple, and the Apple says, okay, if it comes along, we'll say it's okay. It's not whether they like them or don't like them. It's, do we know who they are, that we know we're not putting malware on the computer is all it is. Yes?
So, quick question then. Can they look at it, can they tell if there's actually like a hole in their code that they didn't really realize?
No, it should say, let's put it this way. Think of this way as Mac App Store and trusted developers. But again, Apple has to issue them this certificate that it checks, and believe me, those are not going to be out there for somebody that makes their money off software. Go ahead.
If you're upgrading a machine that already has those applications on it, are they not going to work until you reset the security?
No, good question. Will they work if you already have them on there? They'll work fine if you already have them on there, and any subsequent updates should also work, but it's when you need to download a new version that you might run into this. But it's not a big deal. It'll tell you. We had another question over here.
I guess this was my question. Was there a site to determine the apps you have?
Nah, it'll just tell you. I mean, just,
You don't have to
don't make a big, it may come up. I just want to show you how, it's unlikely it'll come up, but if it does, I want to show you how to deal with it. So.
I'm moving up to Lion, not Lion, but Snow Leopard, and I have some apps on there.
Anything already on there will be fine. It's when you do a new installation. Good question, though. One thing really quick. Hang on one sec. Well, go ahead.
I'm not sure what you said, stay away from Firewall or Firewall.
File Vault. Don't use it. Just. Even Richard doesn't use it. So that says something.
What was the intent?
Oh, it's a great program. It locks it up. I mean, somebody can hack into your computer and all your files are encrypted and everything. There's no way they can get the information off your computer. And neither can you if you forget that password. It's there. All right. So let me look here. Notes, reminders. Oh, so we did notes really quickly. We did that one with our dictation. Let's go to reminders, because that was one of our other heavy hitters since we already did it. And here it is. It's on the dock. I'll go ahead and quit notes. So the reminders will be your iCloud reminders. And what I'm going to do is we're going to make a new reminder. So I'm going to hit the plus, and I'm going to say test. And I'm going to hit return. Hit the I up here. So, like I said, it can just be a list with no date or time to it, which would just show up on your list. But if I say on a day, it then comes up and I can adjust my calendar accordingly. On your iPhone and your iPad, it's the little spinning calendar type thing. So I'll make that test reminder for the 14th, and then I go here and I can say at 1 p.m., okay? So now I make my, and I can repeat the reminder. I can give it a priority.
Location.
I'll do that in a second. So now I'm going to hit done. So there's my reminder, and it's really faint, but you can see that it says on August 14th. Now, if I double-click on this, oh, actually, I take that back. On the phone, you double-click and hit delete. If I hit the check mark, it stays on my list, but it's a completed task then, okay? If I deselect it, and I can always delete it by clicking on it and just delete it. But the useful thing is location-based. So I'll say not on a day, and I'll say add a location. Would like to use my current location. I say OK. Now, with your laptop, it's not as accurate as with your phone because it goes by a Wi-Fi signal base. Whoops! Macs never crash. No, the application did, sorry. It didn't like where I am, I guess. So it says leaving 2391 St. Mark's Way. So it took it before it unceremoniously crashed. So I can say when I leave or when I arrive at a location. But my computer's likely asleep and in my bag in my car, but it'll show up here. Because of the cloud, the notes, the reminders, the iCal events, everything syncs. That's the beauty of the cloud, and that's why they forced everybody to go to Lion, but more particularly Mountain Lion, to do the cloud, because it's got hooks inside the operating system. People kept saying, and I was one of them, why can't I do it on Snow Leopard? It's supposed to work. It really was the operating system didn't have the ability to have these hooks into these different things. We just showed how simple it is, but how complex it is for them to do this. It really is. And the big thing is, like Mobile Me, and as Steve Jobs said in his last keynote ever, he said, Mobile Me was not our finest hour. they didn't want iCloud to be that way, and they've really done a great job with iCloud. And the amazing thing is, when Apple bought Next Computer and Steve Jobs came back as a consultant, there's an online worldwide developer conference speech from 1997, and Steve described cloud computing in 1997. Remember, the iMac had not been invented yet, and the I in iMac stood for internet because before that there really wasn't much internet. So he saw this and he described in that speech in 97 exactly what we're getting with the cloud today. We're saving our documents up to the cloud, and what I equate this to, very soon you're not even going to have to store your apps, applications, or anything here. Your computer won't need a lot of storage on it because everything's up in the cloud, and what will happen is you'll be accessing the application from the cloud, and you're just a keyboard transmitting it back and forth, and it's sending down the video. It goes back to the old days of an AS400 computer in the office, in the computer room, and all you had was this CRT terminal with yellow or green letters on it, and you had a keyboard, and all the information was in that computer, and you were just the input and the exit for that computer. That's what's happening with cloud computing, and that's started with us saving our documents to the cloud, etc. And the beauty of it is, back then, who would have thought that you'd have multiple devices? I have 3 Macs. I have an iPhone and an iPad. And they all sync together to the same cloud. So embrace it.
So Mountain Lion makes you go to iCloud with no alternative?
No, you don't have to use the iCloud, but you should. You couldn't use the iCloud until you went to Lion. And then Mountain Lion takes it one step further, that does all this document syncing. Yes, sir.
Do you selectively use the iCloud just to not do your documents, and not do your music, but do your calendar?
That's a good question. So let me show you this really quick. We'll go into system preferences. And now we have a new one. Well, we have iCloud and we have mail, contacts, and calendars. But when I click on iCloud, I can tell it what I want to sync on iCloud. Some of you want to use the iCloud, but you want to use an existing email address, so you don't want to use your me.com mail. And there's different ways to do this. Believe me, iCloud has not been the easiest transition, and I've spent many hours with people, but I've also spent many hours with people after they spent 4 to 6 hours with Apple and gotten it screwed up. So, be careful how you do it, but it can't hurt anything. But so here's, you choose what you want to sync with the iCloud, and it's in your system preferences in iCloud. And you notice it shows I have 25 gigabytes of space because I migrated from Mobile Me, so I can still have that extra 20 gigabytes until September 30th. And then after that, if I click Manage, I can buy more space. 40 bucks for 20 gigabytes, 100 bucks for 50 gigabytes. And my downgrade, so mine made it, so my 20 gigabytes that's going to go away, it's not automatically set to bill my credit card. It was something they gave me for free for the time being because they wanted us to be able to download any Mobile Me contact we had. And to Hal's question earlier, this is where you go into your managed storage and you can see what's taking up what kind of room on your cloud. Remember, the 1,000 photos that are up there in PhotoStream don't count against your 5 gigabytes. Okay, that's a bonus that Apple puts because they know it's ongoing and temporary. Okay, I had a few questions. Go here first.
What protects iCloud?
What protects it?
I mean, how come we don't have to worry about whatever is holding our stuff from?
Because it's in the Apple server farms that are as secure as it can be.
Are they in many locations? So like
Many. Well, the main one is in Maiden, South Carolina or North Carolina? North Carolina, isn't it? Maiden, North Carolina. But it is, and then they're doing others. But what happens is there's protection from it getting deleted, and there's protection from the outside. You do not have a worry. It is as safe as it can be from the outside. But to protect your data from getting lost, they have people managing this, and it's on many hard drives in that location just in case a whole bank of hard drives goes bad or whatever. They have backup power supply. They have all that. Believe me, these places, it's easier to get into the Pentagon. And they're very redundant. They do that very well. And Apple doesn't really do it. They hire out people to do it, but then they hire people for it. So right here for next.
Yeah, click on account details, I think there was something.
You just want to see my, no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you mean on this one? On the manage?
There was a little, I remember what I did find,
This one, the manage one, is that what you're talking about, or account details?
that, and it came up with a email kind of thing.
Yeah. Mine's Mac.com. Mine's Mac.com. It could be me.com.
Right.
Yeah.
There, no, it was, we were talking about doing
I'm not sure.
Getting a me.com email address.
What's that?
Getting a me.com.
Oh, well, if you sign up for an iCloud account, you can get a me.com email address, and soon it will only be an iCloud email address. So we'll go Al, and no, I'll just keep coming across this way. So Al?
Photos from only 1,000 photos, the most recent photos for 30 days.
It basically, when a photo goes up there, it's going to be up there for a total of 30 days. And after that, it's not up there. So it allows you to bring it down to your other, like if I take it on my iPhone, I can bring it down to my computer from there. I don't have to sync them anymore. It goes to the photo stream, and then I bring it down here. The new photos I took last night with my Canon, I put the card in here, it went into iPhoto, and I can then get those over on this. So I've got 30 days for that to happen, and I can have up to 1,000 photos on my photo stream. And obviously, if I go to 1,500 photos, the oldest 500 drop off the back. Okay? Oh, got a notice. Okay, I'm going to save you more money today. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow, Sam's Club. If you don't have a membership, you can go shopping. I'm going to go to Sam's Club afterwards because I got to get something over there. So I'm not a member, and I saw this coming up. So that was my reminder for when the class. It'll pop up once more, too. Hit close. I've got a Costco card, and that's over by me, but there's two particular things at Sam's Club that Costco doesn't have.
My cloud security really bothers me, so I don't use it.
Don't.
What prevents somebody getting in between you and iCloud?
It's encrypted on both ends. If you're worried about it, don't use it. I will not be able to convince anybody of that argument, but here's what I say is, I'm a big guy. It's hard to be pretty stealthy, but if I was sitting in the Rose Bowl on, was it January 1st, it'd be hard to find me in there, wouldn't it be? There's 60,000 other people? But if I'm in an elevator, how many hundred? 102,000. If I'm in an elevator, it's pretty hard to see me, or pretty easy to see me, isn't it? If my data is in where there's a whole bunch of other data, it's a lot less likely to get found. But that's your own choice. I say it all the time. Richard's on one end, I'm on the other. You have a difference in convenience versus security. And I'm not going to tell you where to go on that, but I'm going to tell you it's as safe as it can be.
I like to use Find My Friends, but my wife and I can't use that with ourselves because we have the same Mac account. Is that been updated?
No, it won't work on Find My Friends. Won't work with the same account.
No.
Then just sign up for a second one.
It says they can't accept from me.
Yeah, I guess I didn't know that because I don't have any friends. So. Well, here, I'll add you. I'll have a friend. You can log in and log out, so you could have a separate account, and just for that purpose, you could log into iCloud at that time. Don't convert everything else over, but just have that, and then come back. That would be my thoughts. I didn't know about that, so I can check into that later for you if you'd like. Find My Friends allows you, if you're at the state fair, you're on the phone. Hey, I'm by the concrete metal building. They're all, which one? And you can go on here, and with the other person's permission, with your permission, you can track each other's GPS. And they'll be right behind you is what usually happens. But anyway, back here again, and then we got to go around.
On the pages, when I open pages, all the previous files come up.
So, yeah, kind of. What you do is, like these things opened up too that I had previously. So if you want that to not happen, you go up and you close each window before you quit it. It's kind of a deal to, oh, here's back where you were. I think they're going to try to adjust that. Actually, here's why everybody should also email me. I can send you the Macintosh. I'll try link this on the website if somebody emails me, remember. It's a Mac cheat sheet where you keep all your addresses and IDs and everything, and on the back side of it is all, I should have brought it, I did this for the last meeting, all the keyboard shortcuts. I just happened to see that because I had it in Pages. So if you send me an email and request it, I'll send the PDF to you.
What are we requesting?
Just say Mac cheat sheet, and I'll send you the Mac cheat sheet. All right. I'm sorry, we had questions still going. Go ahead. Back to my Mac is something that they kind of used to have, and they're trying to get it more and more, but the idea would be is from another Macintosh or another iPhone, you can actually reach into the computer itself rather than something on iCloud. It's not mature yet.
Back to the iCloud. I get a notice on my, we talked before, but I still get a notice on my iPad that says you don't have enough storage, you can't back up.
Yeah.
And continually, when I open up, it always pops up, I take a look. And
go in here and manage your storage and see how it is. Otherwise, what you need to do is you need to adjust your storage on the iPhone and iPad to tell it to not back up all that much stuff.
because my wife has a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
I can go block her, I guess.
Well, just tell it not to sync that. So this is a Mountain Lion class, so let's try stay on Mountain Lion topics if we could, please.
What is Retina display?
That's the new high-end display that the iPhone 4S has. It's in the 4. It's really high. And on the new MacBook Pro, they have it. Basically, Retina just means it takes what the human eye can see and makes the pixels so small that your eye cannot determine that it's a dot. It looks like a smooth printed picture. So it's different for different things, but that's what Retina is called. And it's a smart thing. Back there?
Still wanting to know about text messages coming into your computer.
Okay, I'll get to that. Thank you. We got a little bit of time.
At the end of 30 days, do your pictures automatically go into your library?
I don't think so. I think they're actually in your library to begin with. I have to play with that, and there's another thing that on the iPhone stuff you can do that albums and
After
things.
30
But
days, you still got your pictures and you'll have
well, your pictures are whatever they were on originally, no question. But I believe that they stay in your device if you choose to have it downloaded. They're still working on that, and pretty soon you'll be able to link. You'll be able to say, share this picture from my photo stream. In fact, I think you can do it on some devices right now. You share the photo stream picture, so you don't have to email the photo. You're just sending a link, like the old Mobile Me Gallery. I believe iPhoto is going to expand really soon to do like the old Mobile Me Gallery because we can already do it on the iPad and the iPhone, and it seems weird that we're doing it there, and we haven't had an update to iPhoto for a while. One question, two, clear, Henry? Huh?
How can I get a copy?
Send me an email.
I want to find out about
Con-
iClouding together the context. I seem to keep getting all sorts of different information on mainly family members who have like 6 different email addresses, and they'll have duplicates on one computer, and then my iPhone will have minus some. And does it just take the last things that are entered?
The syncing is all problematic in the beginning, and it's because maybe in different formats and stuff. We'll go into address book. I'll show you a tip that might help. And because I'm sorry, what am I going to? Contacts. Maybe by next year, you know. I'm still writing 2010 on my checks, but checks? Who writes checks anymore? So what you can do is, now, address book in Lion, and contacts in Mountain Lion. Saved, almost saved. Your groups were set up a little differently. You had to click on the thing and all that. But this is more like the old one was. And this is better, trust me. But anyway, it allows you to see that. But what I was going to show you is on the cards, you go here and you say, look for duplicates. And it'll search your database. And I have 64 duplicates and 18 duplicate entries.
So
I'm not going to, hang on. I'm not going to do mine right now because what I always recommend anybody does, you go do a purge, and you're going to purge all this. Yeah. Who here doesn't use Time Machine? Use something else? Okay. You guys use something else? Pooey. Go get a hard drive. Continue to use Carbonite, but go get a hard drive. Because if you need to get something back, you want to wait hours? I have one client. His has been backing up to Carbonite for the last 8 months. Hasn't completed yet. It's the internet. I mean, when you start getting a lot of data, Carbonite's fine as a secondary, but you want to have a physical backup you can get back into. But here's what we do in both Calendar and iCal. We go to Export, Calendar and iCal, Contacts Archive, and I always have a little folder in my documents called Address Book iCal Backup. No, I'm not going to change it. It's going to stay Address Book iCal Backup. But I'm going to back my contacts up and I hit Save. Now, I can go through and do the purge that I want to do because I've saved a pristine copy of my bad contacts that I already have. So I'm going to say, okay, let's go ahead and merge. And if it just mangles it up, I still can go back to the old copy. So I saved it.
You can't go through them at a time.
You can do whatever you want. I let the computer do the work. I let it type for me too.
But the ones that says are duplicates, it won't show you which ones are duplicates.
No, and what it does is it deletes the duplicates, but it also merges some. So like you might have the same person with a work address and a home address in these two contacts, and it merges them for you. See, now I'm down to 3 cards. Merge. I keep doing this a few times. Sam's Club, 5 minutes. Don't forget. And on this, too, you'll get down to a point where it will keep doing the same number, and you got to give up because it just won't do them all.
But generally speaking, when you come home with your iPhone or you make a correction to either your iPhone or your home computer or your iPad, which does it take as?
Takes whichever one's the most current. And I drew this picture a little bit earlier. Here's how the iCloud works, and this is a good point. So we've got the cloud up here. And this is so much part of Mountain Lion because Mountain Lion uses so much of the cloud. I have a little iPhone. I have an iPad. And I have my computer with the base on it, right? This, if I make a change here, it transmits it to the cloud, and then it comes down to both my other devices. Okay? If I make a change here, it does the same way. So it will take the most current because this is the clearinghouse. The cloud is the clearinghouse. And so, therefore, it takes whichever one you're using. So you can go to iCloud.com and see your address book, or your contacts, and your calendar. So it has to be an intermediary like that because you may be on a plane and you're changing stuff on your phone and somebody else is changing your computer at your house. Well, the iCloud, it's going to sift through it and see which it should do. Okay, that's for the reminders, for everything it thinks the iCloud, but more importantly, it's for contacts and calendars. Okay?
And you can't add more than one other question. Can I have one quick question?
Yep.
You cannot add more than one birthday to the.
Yeah, you should do a second one because it uses the contacts. Well, we have a whole contacts. You should call it address book. Go ahead.
I like the lady up in front. Don't like to use contact.
Don't use it. Find something better.
Why do you like it?
Because I see the stuff on the side. Did you have Lion?
Yeah.
And you liked it in Lion where your groups were all over the place? You had to click and do all this other stuff? If you like how it was, get an iPad. That's exactly how it is. It's personal preference. That's all I'm saying. But it is what it is. I mean, you can't change it. You can go like that. That's how it was, right? View, groups, List and card, there's like it was. But I like to be able to go into my groups just easy without making 3 clicks to get there. But that's personal preference.
No, that's better. I
Yeah.
haven't seen that.
Calendar did the same thing, and we're going to go to calendar. Luckily, I call it calendar more than I do iCal, or more than the other one. So now the calendars it was like this. The calendars were never displayed on the side, right? So now in Mountain Lion, they're displayed on the side, and they brought back the mini calendar down here, which is always great. Okay? So now, I should point out a couple things in calendar here that you need to do is, actually they changed it. Oh no, show event times. I don't know why by default, like right here, by default it doesn't show the event times. So you want to turn that on. Okay? And if I'm going to make an appointment in this, watch. I'm going to go August 24th. I'm going to double click and I'm going to type test event 11 a.m. Okay? I don't have to format it the old way with pull down the time and do all that. I typed it like I would say it, right? And it just made a test event at 11 a.m. But what's better than that? Test event, 11 a.m.
She like testing.
She's getting a little testy. I'm going to go into microphone right now, and then we're going to get to messages before we cut out. So, I'll show you. Oh, it's in the preferences, and it says show event times. All right, so we have a new thing in our preferences here, and it's right in the middle of the 4th row, dictation and speech. It is off by default. It's off by default, so you have to press the on button. Okay? Pretty tough. Switch it to on. You can't say on. That's coming. And right under there is the shortcut. And you can choose it. I played with mine for a while. I said, press command key twice. You can customize it. You can do whatever you want. Press all 6. You were the old one, command option P and R for zapping the pram. You know, that was like, I always feel when I have people do that, I'm telling them to do this, you know, and they're going, Ken, this isn't going to make my computer any better, really. Command option PR. If you guys haven't used that, that's an old standby, and it works 80% of the time to reset things. Anyway, choose what it is, and I've chosen the function key, or it's the function key by default, but you can change it to something else. But I do want to put something here. Samantha does not. This is for when you have it read text to you, not for this dictation. This is part of speech. Samantha is not. The normal voice you have is like Vicky and Victoria, so.
Isn't it nice to have a computer that will talk to you?
But I went and I chose Samantha, so when you go down here to customize, you can see I've already selected Samantha. These are downloadable. They don't put them in your computer because these voices take up a lot of room. But I like Samantha, and I'll show you why. Because when I play Samantha...
Hello, my name is Samantha. I am an American English voice.
She's a very good voice for doing things, because when I go to Safari, and I have a really long email, a long article. Here we go. This is the Italian festival today, by the way.
They may be devastated by Italy's 4-0 loss to Spain in the Euro Cup final, or anxious about the quality of their country's sovereign debt. But this weekend is a chance for Italians and Italian Americans in Sacramento to celebrate. The Italian Cultural Society's Festa Italiana is...
Okay, so that's in the system preferences, dictation and speech. The speech was just a little bonus, but dictation and the keyboard shortcut. This will work on any Mac that can run Mountain Lion, unless it's a Mac Pro or a Mac Mini, you have to make sure you have a microphone, obviously. On the new iPad, iPad 3, it does it already. Old iPads won't do it. This is Mountain Lion, not iPad. The MacBook Pro, yes, not the Mac Pro, the big tower, because it didn't come with a microphone, neither did the Mac Mini. Depending on, you can add a microphone to it, it'll work fine with that. By the way, you can take, and I always carry this with me, if you want to get really good speech recognition, your iPhone headset has a microphone in it, and you plug it into the microphone. And it's got a little microphone. You plug it into the speaker jack, and it works on Mac Mini, Mac Pro, same too. This is a test, comma, to see if dictation works. Yeah, so it took a little, didn't do as well as, the microphones in these things are incredible, so. All right. So, wow. I have to do messages one last time. Hang on, okay.
How did you get from selecting that paragraph on the internet to get them to talk to you?
You have to enable speech services. That's in my, that'll be in a, because that wasn't specific to Mountain Lion. Believe it or not, I can take a big long article like this, and I can say, send it to iTunes as spoken text. I had a long Vanity Fair article that was like 5 pages long about the whole housing shakeup and stuff, and I sent it to my iPhone, and I'm driving to Arizona, and I get to listen to it in the speech voice when I go there. Messages is the last thing. Now, those of you that worked with me a lot know that we use screen share for me to get with you on your computer and look and talk and do everything. I hate video chat. I never do it because I'm a multitasker. I'm doing other things, and you have to concentrate on that. But iChat has become messages. But it's also become the ability to send a text message to anyone with an iPhone or an iPad. Well, I thought text messages were from the cell phone network. And you pay exorbitant amounts of money to have a texting plan, don't you? Built into iOS 6, iOS 5, excuse me, and in iOS 6, but in iOS 5, if you have iOS 5, a 3GS or newer, messages on here. When I text someone with an iPhone, you'll notice it's blue instead of green, and that means it went over the internet to that person rather than go over the cell phone pay for. And that's why an iPad, which doesn't have a phone number, can do text messages back and forth. And I can do a text message to myself right here, probably. Let's try this. Test. Yep, right there. From Ken Spencer, reply, block to stop this user, reply, block. I don't want to reply. But it came in as a blue text message on here from my computer. Again, anybody, any iOS device or Mac to Mac. So you no longer just have the AIM chat, which works to PCs and everything. You have messages or iMessage on your devices. And you can go back and forth. Now that I can dictate from this, I can send good text messages. The other nice thing is, a normal text message from phone to phone is limited to 160 characters. Otherwise, it cuts it off and makes it into 2 or 3. When you do it from an iOS device to a Mac or an iOS device, you can go pretty much as long as you want. So, the blue is when you've done it iPhone to iPhone. Green means it went over the cellular network. And if it can't find it over the internet to find it, it's using just your data instead of the cell. And what happens is it will ask you if you want to send it as a regular text message. So let's say I'm in South America and I want to text somebody that has an iPhone. I don't want to use my cellular network down there because I don't want to come back with an $1,800 bill. So as long as I'm on an internet cafe using the Wi-Fi, I can send that text message all over. All right, it was a lot of stuff. Mountain Lion's done a lot of things. Dictation should be the big takeaway. Use it. It's fun. Play with it. If you guys have an iMac, if it's an aluminum, well, it has to be an aluminum iMac to run Mountain Lion. If you look on the very, you know where the camera is, if you look on top of the aluminum right up by the camera, you'll see what looks like a flaw. That flaw is laser drilled etchings for where your microphone comes out. Don't worry. It works fantastic. Those of you with MacBook Airs or 13-inch ones, you'll see a little thing right in the frame. Just looks like a little flaw, and those are the microphone's fantastic. The biggest mistake people make is, they gotta shout at it to make it work. Nah, you just talk in a normal, here we go. Let's go here. You can talk in a quiet, normal voice, and it will work fine.
That's so much faster than mine.
It's a hell of a lot faster than I can type.
No, I meant the whole thing, though. Mine doesn't come up that quick. Huh.
Why did you ask us for our serial number?
If you wanted to find out if you can upgrade to Mountain Lion or not, I can check it for you. If you have those serial numbers, come see me at the end. Another question?
You're late for Sam's.
Oh, they're open all day. This was just a reminder so that when it's the end of the class, so I can remember. I should have said, okay,
5 minutes to get in there.
remind me about Sam's when I leave here. Yes, the first time it makes a connection to the other person, it says, oh, I'm an iPhone? Oh, you're an iPhone? Okay, let's do it over the internet rather than the cell. It's the camel's nose under the tent. The cell companies don't like it. When I leave here, remind me about Sam's.
Thank you. Here's your reminder for when you leave here.
I have trouble with Siri. I call her Iris, and I have to keep pressing her to get her to, like go like that.
Just when you press and hold.
But when I want to answer, she tells me the answer. I have to press that again to say, after
To say
I
thank you?
it. Well,
She doesn't care whether you say thank you or not.
I know she didn't, but it seems like she answers a question and I want to ask something else. I have to hit
It's a
the
separate
icon
thing.
again.
Yeah, hit the icon or hit the button. Now I'll show you a tip we showed here really quick too is you can bring it up to your face and she activates it so you can talk to her this way.
Well, I
And that way you're not on speak.
this way and it didn't.
This way you have to press the button. See, the deal is these all have a proximity sensor in them because if you'll notice when you're making a call, I'll do it on my phone. This is a little trivia. It's really amazing. You can always tell on a TV show if they're making a real call or a fake call with their iPhone because if I'm gonna, let's see, I'll call Mom's Mason number. She's not there. So watch when I bring this up to my face. The light goes out, right? So the sensor's right up here. It's a proximity sensor. That's what activates Siri. But the reason for the proximity sensor is twofold. And you got to remember, this was introduced 5 years ago last month. And they had it in that one. The idea is when you're talking on for a long time, it'll heat up with the light on and the battery will last longer. See, I'm not in a call, so it stays lit up. So the proximity sensor only knows it for that. But the other thing is, when I'm in the middle of a call, I don't want to mistakenly have my cheek hit the mute button or the speaker button. But it all depends on the case. A lot of people have some of these cases over there, and you have to make sure you have a clear spot there because it's an infrared sensor. It's a proximity sensor. It might be a light thing. I think it is. Well, anyway, it senses that. So that's what that proximity sensor does. Let me check it and say, let me get the thing set down. 3GS for what?
What you're just talking about, that sensor.
Oh yeah, it's been on since the original iPhone.
Did you turn your recorder up?
Yes, thank you, I will. That would have gone forever, of course it would have gone until I shut it. Okay. That one. No, not that one. That one, stop.